All right, everybody, welcome to this morning's broadcast. My name is Earl Mann. I'd like to welcome you to the Leadership Lab. Hope everybody's having a great Saturday, great holiday season. Hopefully everybody's staying warm. Again, I'd like to welcome you to today's lab. Let me know when you logged in, and I'll give you a very special hello. This is interactive, so just type in below who you are, where you're logging in from, and I will give you a very special hello this morning. We're going to be getting started in just a couple of minutes. I'd like to welcome everybody to the broadcast. See, we have some people tuning in, which is great. This is going to be a pretty short class today, so and I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. Hey, Frank, welcome to the broadcast. Utah. It's pretty early there in Utah, isn't it? And I know it's cold. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Ann and Steve, to the broadcast. We're going to be getting started here in just a couple of moments. This will be a really short class today. Snowing. We had snow day before yesterday. Still a little bit of snow out on the ground, but nothing you guys would consider snow from the snow capitals of the world, the ski resort areas. All right, everybody, welcome to the broadcast. This is going to be a really short class today. So I'm going to give everybody a couple of extra minutes to tune in to make sure that they don't miss the beginning, because it's going to be very quick and to the point. Everybody's probably trying to organize their Christmas shopping and their holiday schedules and all of that good stuff. So I'd like to welcome everybody to the broadcast. About one more minute, and we're going to get started. Right. One more minute. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. All right. So guys, I'm going to ease into it this morning. Again, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Saturday Morning Leadership Lab. Just like to thank everybody for showing up here, and hope everybody's having a great day. And today we're going to review just a little bit. At this time of year, this is a time of year where people naturally tend to be a little introspective, or they look at themselves. They make some assessments. They look at where they are. They start to plan the next year, either with a hint of pessimism or optimism. But people start. This is the time of year when people look forward and try to make peace with who they are and what they're doing and where they're going and why. And many people, this notion of looking at themselves and with the ability to change their direction and to change their path is temporary. This is something that only lasts usually between now until about 6 weeks into the new year, and then all of these great and new ideas fade away. So every winter, at least for the last couple of winters, I give this analogy that's built into a winter's metaphor of what it takes to modify your thinking, what it takes to modify your consistent activity or your behavior, and what it takes to modify, in many cases, your performance and the resulting success from your performance. And I call this notion the snow brain. So for anybody that's ever been snowing or been skiing, or can imagine have been skiing or seen it on TV, if you imagine that there's a big hill of freshly fallen snow, and imagine that there's a bunch of kids ready to sled down that hill. So if you can imagine this, the first time they walk up this hill, it's kind of hard to walk up this hill. They're trudging their way through the snow. And when they get to the top of the snow and they get on this, they jump on their sled and kind of sled down. The sled kind of goes where it goes, right? And then imagine those kids loving that ride. They pick up the sled, they walk around the hill back to where they walk back up it. What kids tend to do is eventually they will start to walk up the hill in the same path they walked before, because that path is now easier. Grooves have been cut into the little hill where they walk up the mountain. The interesting thing is, even if they randomly slide down the hill on the other side, as they slide into paths that they created before, the sled seems to fall into that path and follow it down the hill. And the more they do this, the more probable it becomes on both sides of the hill. The more probable it becomes on the hill, on the walking up the hill, because it's going to be the easiest path to get up the hill is to walk up the path that's walked before. And believe it or not, even if they close their eye, eventually if they did this all day or half a day or for hours and hours, even if they walked up to the top of the hill and randomly closed their eyes and just jumped over the hill, at some point the sled may go on its own for a little while, but it will quickly fall into the groove of a time the sled went before it. And if you looked at how this would be mapped out, if you drew this out on a map, there'd probably be a lot of starting points and fewer ending points, because those grooves will start to intersect, and when they intersect, you'd fall into a groove that went before, and you end up kind of coming down the same groove. Well, there are many. This is a great example or metaphor that loosely describes the learning process in the human brain. When you look at how neurons interact, and to oversimplify it, but not oversimplify it beyond the point of it being a useful analogy. There's these notions that neurons that fire together wire together, and what that means is, when you do something new, when you do something, anything at all, it doesn't have to be new, but when you do anything at all, for that to happen, your thinking to happen, there are neurons that fire. But when neurons continue to fire, the same neurons continue to connect over and over and over, they become more likely to connect in the future. That's your brain adapts to that activity. So it adapts to that type of thinking, that adapts to that activity. So the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And that's a great analogy for learning, right? The first time you do something, it can be rather difficult and uncomfortable. But the more and more and more you do it, you fall into the groove, if you will, of it being comfortable. And sooner or later, it just becomes what's done without you even thinking about it. It becomes a part of you. It becomes a part of your habits. So this snow brain idea is a great example of what the mission of personal growth and development is all about. It's about finding that new hill. That new hill can be a metaphor for a new skill or a new personal characteristic you need to work on, or parts of your life that you need to develop. And when you first engage them, it's going to be very consistent to that snow hill analogy. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable finding your way up that hill. When you go down it, it's going to take a lot more effort and be a little bit out of control. But the more and more and more you do this, the easier it both becomes to engage in doing this, and the easier and the closer it becomes to being on some type of autopilot. The world is changing constantly around us, continually changing. And the people that are ending up with personal power, the ability to affect their surroundings, the ability to affect their environment, are not just the people that have been educated, not just the people that have been taught certain skills, not just the people that have adapted in the past, but more so the people that are continuing to learn, continuing to acquire skills, continuing to adapt. Because what you do today, and today can be in today, this week, this year, this quarter, the last 3 years, what you do in whatever you call the present must be adapted just to be equally as effective in the future, because things are constantly changing around us. And you're going to find that the organizations, the business models, the ventures, the people that have found a way to be consistently adaptable are going to be the people that are consistently positioned to perform well. It's this notion, this philosophy, this mindset, this culture of continual adaptation that gives people, organizations, ventures, even countries their best chance for survival. Not only survival through changing times, but thriving through changing times. So, I'm going to challenge everybody on this in this lab. This is going to be a short lab, but that's a really big concept, and it's a very simple one. Let's assess last year. That's a great idea. That's a great place to start. But not. I want you to assess last year from that snow brain idea. I want you to look back at last year with a critical eye and ask yourself, what skills and characteristics did you adapt? Did you broaden? What abilities did you adapt and broaden? What ways did you adapt your strategy, your personal strategy? What ways did you modify your personal strategy? What ways did you adapt and modify your personal tactics? This whole idea of adaptation and adjustment, that's the game. I mean, that's almost every game. Because when you can truly identify the moment, when you can truly identify a way to maximize a moment, you do or you don't, but that moment moves on, and you find yourself in another moment. And the rules of the last moment may or may not apply to the next. So that because of this constant change, there are two general schools of thought. One is people that are going to try to take their time and effort, money and resources to predict what's coming next and to align themselves to be ready to handle that. And that's where all of their time and effort goes. And if they predict it right, they win, and if they predict it wrong, they don't. And there are other people that spend some time on trying to predict what's going to happen, but they spend an equal amount or more time trying to assess the moment, adjust the moment, react, and execute and act in the moment. The best combination, in my opinion, seems to be the people that try to do both of those things all the time, continually. Yes, they try to predict, you try to be forward-thinking, you try to guess on your best information and using the counsel of people smarter than yourselves what's coming next and what that might mean. And at the same time, you're constantly making adjustments in the moment. You're not relying upon the proof that it worked before has very little weight. The proof now is it working now? But ultimately, the way you want to assign value to this moment, to the success of this moment, has to be from where you're trying to go. That's the bar. That's the puzzle piece you're trying to match up. That's the glasses you put on that color everything happening in today. You understand clearly where it is you're trying to go. You understand clearly what that looks and feels and works and it feels like. And then from that place, you look at the moment and you assess and you adjust and you act and you move on. Because whether or not you choose to act and move on, the world around you has already done so. Told you it was going to be a real short class. Or told you it was going to be real short and to the point this morning. Now, to this end, I do have some ideas and concepts that you might find useful in just helping you find ways to groove your path in the snow in the direction that you like. I call it the Paper to Reality Project, and it's simply, the idea is this: how do you take something from paper, and by paper I mean idea. How do you take something from being an idea and making it something real and tangible? And I'm calling it Paper to Reality because this is really designed for people that are at least committed enough to their ideas to have taken it a little bit beyond thoughts and at least bothered to write it down. So if you haven't done that much, start there, and then you can go visit Paper to Reality, that's P-A-P-E-R and the number 2, and then reality.com, and it's just ideas and concepts to think about to help you find the right hill, climb the right hill, and consciously direct your sleigh in a path so that over time, without you thinking about it, without your effort, your sled goes down the hill right where you want it, and it ends up right where you wanted it to end up. You control your destiny, you control your destination down that hill is an analogous to me of controlling your destiny. So folks, we only have a couple of weeks left in this year. I hope you are being introspective and reflective, and I hope you are looking forward into next year with the biggest sense of optimism that you can. That's probably the single most powerful place that you can look from. You get to choose where you look from. Tomorrow's not written yet. So for those people that are looking at it with the pessimistic view, that's no more real than the people that are looking at it with the optimistic view, as long as they adopt. Whoever adopts the philosophy, the mindset of constant adaptation and change, whoever surrounds themselves with people of similar mindset and perspective, whoever embeds themselves in a culture that embraces and teaches and places value on continual adaptation and adjustment and change, those people will be the people that create what it is they said would happen. That gives them the best possible chance. There was also a study done. There was a study done by a very I'm trying to remember the university name, because if I could use the name of the university, some of you would give it more value because it's a really good university. I believe it's an Ivy League university. But they did this. They looked back across successful businesses, and then they looked back in the history of these businesses at critical decisions that were made for before, as these businesses became successful, and it was a staggering result. They found that in most of these businesses, and these are iconic businesses that have done tremendous success, most of them household names and icons, and they look back at these super educated people with the best experience and the best minds, they found that over 80% of the most critical decisions that they made at the time were not the best decisions. In fact, some of them were the wrong decisions to make. But those businesses still thrived because those businesses they constantly adjusted. So they made a decision that wasn't the best or even a bad decision, but they continued to make decisions and adjustments after that. They continued to make decisions and adjustments after that, and they found their way. So it wasn't the fact that these companies had the ability to make these unbelievably great decisions that changed the decision period, that changed the futures of these companies. It was more their success was more a reflection of their ability to keep making decisions, to keep constantly making decisions and adjustments, to right their path and to get in the right groove that led them down their snow hill, if you will, and the path that was in their best interest. So my friends, I hope you got something out of that. Thanks for tuning in to the Leadership Lab. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Hope you're geared up to have a great week next week and a great couple of weeks as we roll into the end of this year. Have a great day.